Hello, today I'm going to discuss another comparison, old gaming versus new gaming, and maybe some differences between the two and whether you may or may not want to get involved in Hero Scale Tactical System. I got a notification that this game was going to be going up on Kickstarter very soon, and I am very reluctant to be a shill for Kickstarter. I'm not affiliated with the company in any way, but you know, it's coming up, so here's an informed, as best as I can, review and some advice. And the best game to compare it to is Squad Leader. Squad Leader came out in the 1970s. I've owned it and carried this stuff around with me for 40 years. It is just a great game system, not just a game, it's a game system. And it allows you to recreate any small scale conflict throughout World War II. The base game came with Germans, Russians, and Americans, and a build-it-yourself system and everything like that. So this is the first scenario, the Guards counterattack, probably one of the most famous scenarios in wargaming history. You can see the map board, the art, the counters. You know, this is a cardboard counter game. And this is the pretty much the same situation with the Hero Scale system. You notice they use squares, and the action is much more zoomed in. You actually just see the buildings and how big they are on the map board. So that's a Stalingrad type look there. But the Hero Scale Tactical System goes much further than Squad Leader ever did. Squad Leader eventually morphed and changed, but the Hero Scale Tactical System introduces Cthulhu and horror and various elements from movies. And it's more designed to be a recreation of movie action than actual combat action, but I think it does a pretty good job of just being a good simulation. So the Squad Leader game, I think, expands a little bit better because of the scale to it. Each hex was supposedly 40 meters, and you could actually have some pretty spread out battles with Squad Leader, and it's expanded better, I think, than the Hero Scale system. The Hero Scale system is a little bit more tight. You can see in this image there's a building, and the building actually has rooms inside of it. You can fight room to room. However, Squad Leader suffers when you have counter density. In this situation, you have a close-in building fight, and it just becomes very unwieldy with counters everywhere. This is the counter sheet that came with it comes with the Advanced Squad Leader pack, and you can see the counters. I think they're about ½ inch. This is my sort counters. Everything that came in the original Squad Leader game fits in there pretty neatly. And the original Squad Leader game, you know, was complicated, but nowhere near as bad as ASL became. And once you started adding in the expansions, it was a lot of counters. Well, one of the things was the Squad Leader counters, they're just very repetitive. It's a 3-digit number. Occasionally there's an underscore or overscore, but there's really not that much difference between them. I don't know why you need millions of them. The Heroes of Normandie counters, the quality is really top notch. The artwork is fabulous, and I like the cartoon nature of it. This is an image from Devil Pig's website that shows the contents of the original Heroes of Normandie. So this is an Advanced Squad Leader expansion based on Pegasus Bridge. You'll notice the artwork and stuff like that. Here's the same topic done with Heroes of Normandie Pegasus Bridge expansion. Artwork's a little bit different, and here is an example of the two types of maps. You'll notice there's squares with Heroes of Normandie, hexes with Squad Leader. Heroes of Normandie, of course, is on the left. Advanced Squad Leader is on the right. So what you're seeing is the maps from the two expansions that I just showed pictures of. Huge difference. The look is just better. I mean, the quality of the appearance is just much better, and the cardboard is very thick, but it's also very closely dense together. So now let's look at the units. The Squad Leader counters are in the bottom. You can see it represents a squad on the right, which represents about 8 to 10 men, and a leader on the left. And the Heroes of Normandy things have bigger counters, but it can also really expand. And you notice that they're individually named. This is the Suffolk Regiment, and they have an individual color code for that regiment, and those are all of the upgrades you can give to that particular unit. So Squad Leader is I think better at spread out battles, for example. And it has some unique elements for the day, such as defensive fire, where you know, it really does recreate the movement, maneuver, suppress, and destroy in close combat. And it's just a neat game system. It does use 2d6, which I think is a little bit better than the system with Heroes of Normandie. Heroes of Normandie uses a d6 for all the combats. And with modifiers, you can quickly get to impossible or sure thing, which I don't like as much. But it still works. And it also uses the suppress, move in, and destroy with close combat. And I think it does it better than Squad Leader, because in Squad Leader, you're either immune, you pass your morale test, or you're, you know, in a fetal position sucking your thumb. Here's Normandie offers gradations. You can be suppressed or not. One of the things that I really don't like about Heroes of Normandie is the command control system, which requires you to put these large wooden blocks down on the units that you intend to take offensive action, which literally telegraphs your punches. And basically what happens is you shoot at the enemy that have blocks on their head because you know they're the only guys that can hurt you. I know it's a game mechanic, but I think it kind of really detracts from the game, in my opinion. I dislike that, and I just keep the blocks off to the side. I don't even pre-designate. It's just, I don't see the point in it, to be honest with you. It just detracts. So here's a couple of expansions for Heroes of Normandie. I have tried to purchase all of them, because many of them are out of print and you're not going to be able to find them once they're gone, and sometimes you can find them at budget prices right now. And the St. Mary Gleese and the D-Day one, you could actually tie them together and do a D-Day battle and a St. Mary Gleese battle where, you know, the winner can affect the other one. So there's a variety of historicals. What's neat is the Shadows over Normandy, which brings in Cthulhu and supernatural horror. And the same basic game mechanics stay the same as far as fire and movement and suppression. They just introduce things. This is a really neat little expansion. It introduces like a mummy type theme. You know, it's a horror thing, but it's completely beautiful map boards, fantastic counters. It's just amazing the variety of stuff you can have. These are demon hunters. It's just another little variation. So we've gone in from historical, and that you can mix in a little bit of you know, World War II with a little bit of supernatural. The Guardian Chronicles, it's, you know, Captain America type stuff. The werewolves with the SS woman there. It just adds, you know, more variety. And one of the things that's interesting is the support's really good. This is Ventura and the Smugglers, a little boat, just a little small little addition that gives you something, you know. And Civilians Under Fire is a kind of a neat little expansion. But what really does it for me is when they brought in 40K. That's just something I've been trying to integrate 40K and Squad Leader for a long time, because I like the 40K settings, the rules I don't like. And so now this sort of ties it together for me and does the work for me, so that the expansions, I think, are really, the expandability is great. And I do like the artwork style of the Heroes of Normandie. There's just something tongue-in-cheek about it, and the way they bring in elements. So here comes the big thing. How can you convert it to miniatures? These are some efforts that I've made to do Squad Leader in miniature, and I tried different scales. That piece hanging up in the rafters of my garage is something that I hand painted about 20-some years ago for an attempt to do Squad Leader in 15 millimeter. But the map boards get, you know, they get quite big because you need about 4-inch hexes. This is a map that I had printed out. It's 8 foot long. That's map board number 1 from Squad Leader. Again, pursuing, you know, miniatures in Squad Leader, and that was before that I found Heroes of Normandie. And other people have done it. Squad Leader began, John Hill designed it as a miniatures game, and then it morphed into a board game. And there's an interesting little tidbit about that that's peculiar, because it eventually morphed into a computer game, which has now been adapted into a miniatures game. So here's some other people on the internet. I found some images. Some other people have been playing Squad Leader with miniatures. It can be done. It takes some effort, and, you know, they get pretty good results. This is my Stalingrad style map that I did using some of the ruined buildings that I made and sold in my store for a while. I think I'm out of them right now, but and this is an open field Squad Leader type battle with miniatures that someone created on, and this is my little, you know, Heroes of Normandie map with, you just throw some trees on and stick some guys on a clear counter. So I think if you want to do models and work with miniatures, the Heroes system is going to be easier to convert. This is I did a couple videos about the Heroes of Blackreach 40K battle using miniatures, and it's actually not. It works better, let's put it that way, because the scale of the Hero system is 15 millimeter. The images are 15 millimeter figures. So Heroes of Normandie is been out of print. They're coming out with a new edition of the base box, and they're going to put it up on Kickstarter. I'm waiting for other products to come from Kickstarter. They're apparently en route, and that's why I think they were waiting to not launch this. I'm probably going to back it, even though I'm not a big fan of Kickstarter, because I want the company to survive. The main reason I want the company to survive is because I want them to produce 40K expansions. Heroes of Valador was supposed to be out by the end of 2020. Haven't heard anything about it. That would bring Eldar and Tyranids into the fold for me. And I really would like them to do Imperial Guard and Chaos Space Marines. So, yeah, I'm probably going to back the new version of Heroes of Normandie, just because it's going to have different map boards and different units and stuff like that in it. So I just thought I'd do this video. If you're not aware of the system, even if you don't like the rules, like I don't like the wooden block rules, you can change the rules. The components are really, really good. And that, to me, makes it really worthwhile. And the mechanics are generally pretty solid. The way that they do fire with his soft targets, medium targets, and hard targets works really good. And the command control works pretty good too if you don't have those stupid blocks sitting on your head. Command control in Squad Leader was based on leader counters improving the quality of the men around them. And then what would happen is a squad would fail its morale check, and it would literally fall apart until a leader came and told them to get back up. So the command control in Squad Leader was really a lot of all or nothing. Your guys were 100% fighting, or they were done until a leader went and nursed them back to health. Heroes of Normandie does suppression fire, where you can double your firepower, but it doesn't damage anyone, it just suppresses them. And suppression is automatically removed. A leader can speed up the removal process, but it's automatically removed. But while the unit's suppressed, it really can't do a whole lot. And you can get suppressed 2, 3, 4 times if you need to, so you can really suppress someone. So both games use the suppress, move in with close combat, just like you learn in basic training when you're storming a bunker. So both of them do that pretty good. Squad Leader reflects sort of random events with the use of the rolling a 2, rolling a 12, whether units go berserk, machine guns break. So they introduce random events through the use of the die, which is, I think, really good, because you never know when it's going to spring upon you, and it creates this beautiful story that you can watch unfold, because you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, your tank could blow a track, you could run out of ammo, or a unit could go berserk. And so Heroes of Normandy recreates random events through decks of cards, and the players have control over when or not they're going to use the cards. They have just a limited number of cards in their hand, but you have a little bit more control over when you're going to use the cards. So it's random events, but they're a little bit more controlled random events, and you can save your cards, you can turn them in and burn them if you want to and use them. I think both systems work. They're just different. But they both kind of work. In Squad Leader, moving in the face of the enemy was a real, it was suicide. And most of the casualties will be inflicted when it wasn't your turn. When your opponent was moving, you shot at him, because every unit had defensive fire capabilities until they were routed. So it really made movement very challenging, but I thought it was very realistic for that reason. And it made the game very interactive, so you had to watch every move and open fire when you had a chance. Heroes of Normandy, much less units have opportunity fire. There are cards that give you opportunity fire. There are certain units that have it. There are certain terrain elements, such as foxholes, that have opportunity fire. But it's much easier to maneuver in the face of the enemy. And I read a comment by the designers that they wanted to do that to sort of make the game a little bit more Hollywood. So if you don't like that, particularly because there's a supply phase at the end of each game turn where there is no firing allowed, and you can literally just walk around in front of the enemy, they describe this as these units are quietly moving and avoiding attention. But if you're sitting there with an 88 and a Sherman just quietly drives down the road, but it's, you know, the wrong time of the turn, it seems kind of strange to me. So that's something that I have to give the edge to Squad Leader on. Maneuvering in the face of the enemy in Squad Leader seems much more realistic. However, you know, Heroes of Normandy does have terrain, it does have cards, it does have command abilities once you start gathering together some of the expansions and stuff like that, so that you can add some opportunity fire. I personally would probably, if you want it to be more like Squad Leader, at the beginning of each turn when you're dropping your wooden blocks or when you're doing your command things, I would just use the tracking counters from Squad Leader and put whoever you want to in Overwatch. And that unit can't move, it can't move in the supply phase, but it can fire at moving units. And then you'd really have a game that was close to Squad Leader. And in fact, even better. It would look better. I really think that the combat system that they have developed, it works. And there's not charts and there's not a lot of headaches. So, yeah, if you want to, give it a try. I think if you pass this one up, and once these expansions are all gone, you're never going to get a chance to get them. So just keep an eye out for it.